Today we're literally going to look at a handful of items here that I just sold and made over $1,100 in profit on. Hey, it's Don. Today we're literally going to look at a handful of items we just sold that will net us over $1,100 in profit. Now, size of the item doesn't mean a thing. The amount of packages you have going out or the amount of items you sell at any given time doesn't matter. What really matters is how much money you're actually bringing down to the bottom line. Everything else doesn't mean much if it doesn't come down to the bottom line. Now, the items I'm going to show you today have already been paid for. I have nothing into them. They have been paid for, geez, like 6+ months ago. Now, for those of you who've watched some of my videos before, I love tiny, small items. They make us a heck of a lot of money. Most people think these things are insequential. They have no real meaning or value to them. So I can pick up this stuff all the time, even from other dealers in mass quantities, left and right, if I want to dig enough for them. It takes some work. Now, it doesn't have to be what I'm showing you. Any of the items we sell, I just sold a whole bunch of labels in the same price range, same amounts, and the whole works, all at the same time. If you've got something that you can specialize in, you can center the market in on them, at least in your local area, and nab up all of the good stuff because no one else will know anything about them to figure out what's expensive or not. A lot of these items you may not be able to price at all online. So if you're not willing to spend some time to learn about some of the items you could sell, you're probably not going to do very well at it. Now, we make a ton of money off of buttons. There's a lot of money to be made in a lot of these smaller niche markets. A lot of these items are under the radar of most people, and that's the best aspect, the best places to hit. Anything under the radar where people aren't really dive bombing and looking out for are excellent items to sell online, especially on eBay. Now, I sold 2 of this button here for $105 a piece. It's a shirt button off of someone's railroad uniform. That's all this is. Every jacket from this railroad would have probably had close to possibly a dozen buttons on it as well. So there were a bunch of these around at one time. These are quick and easy items to ship and store and sell and list all the way around. The entire purchases we're showing you today all fit in the palm of my hand. That's how small they were. So I can store tens of thousands of these in an extremely small space. Now, a person bought 5 of this one here for $72 and I think 50 cents plus shipping on all these as well. They needed to finish off a jacket. So these are replacement pieces on top of it. A large chunk of uniforms out there show up missing buttons. And they're worth far more if they're complete. They display so much better as well for collectors, so they will hunt down and sort out these sorts of things. Now, it doesn't necessarily even have to be military or a uniform at all. This is a sporting button. This would have been on someone's blazer. This is a very early one in excellent condition of a wolf's head. I took 55 on this one here. It went back and forth in a couple offers and we settled on 55. Now here's a fine example of knowing more than the person you acquired this from. This was acquired from somebody who knew somewhat about buttons but did not have a clue on what this design, what this logo is. Now I mess with Victorian trade cards. I knew instantly the design because it's pictured on trade cards. This is a John Wanamaker department store button. The employees of a department store would have worn this button here. Excellent item here. We sold it for 30 bucks plus shipping. Now, even a nondescript button can sell for some decent money. This one sold for $60. This is an extremely early one. It has what's called a raised mark and depressed channel back mark on it. That means the lettering on the back of the button, the back mark it is called, is actually raised off a channel that is pressed into the back of the button. This process was only used in the very late 1840s and in through the 1850s. So you can pretty much date these very specific to how that back mark is stamped in there. Now this one's reminiscent of a Confederate Marine button. It would just have an M on it. It doesn't quite look like this, but this is from about the right time frame as that one would have been as well. So these are still highly collected. These are also called livery buttons as well. So excellent sale for 60 bucks. Now this one here is what's called a staff button. It's made of 3 pieces of metal. The face is one one piece, the back is another piece, and then there's a ring that attaches them both together. This is from Central Pacific Railway, and I sold 2 of them for $75 a piece. It's original to the dates that's listed in there, dated by the back mark and how it is written. Not what is written, but how it is written. Now here's another case of being able to identify the item to properly sell it. This is Buffalo and Susquehanna Railroad. Many of these early buttons may just have a letter or 2 letters, a design or something like that with no name as to what it belongs to. You can identify them, you can sell them. This one sold for $35. Now, most items from colleges and universities are highly collectible, whatever it is. Paper items, postcards, photos, scrapbooks, yearbooks, whatever they are. Most things from major colleges sell extremely well. This is one of those types of items that is missed quite often. There are some modern-day junk versions of this button that are not authentic. They're just mock, faux Oxford University Boat Club buttons. So you will get mixed up sometimes if you don't know the difference. This is the real deal, and it did sell for $75. And he also bought the cuff version of that same one we just showed you there for $57.50. Most people will want a coat and a cuff if they're just collecting designs, like designs from the university or something like that. These are incredibly easy items to sell, list, store. Any aspect of dealing with these for us is super, super easy. Now, this is from the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railroad, and we sold 6 of these for $52.50. We listed them one at a time. So when one sold, we listed another one, and we kept selling them, and we're still selling them right now. Again, you have to be able to ID them based on letters and things like that. Now, most items from hotels do extremely well for us too. Postcards, luggage labels, menus do extremely well. Uniform pieces, china, dishes, glasses, geez, anything from the room, a logo from the building wall or something. Uniform buttons here. And this one here is from Manhasset House. Maybe I've pronounced that wrong, but pretty close, I would hope. And this is a hotel. And we sold 2 of these as well for $75 because of the Native American image on the face is just spectacular on this sort of item. World's Fair items go extremely well for us also. CDVs, trade cards, uniform pieces, china, plaques, photos of any type, and uniform buttons, of course. This is from the 1878 Paris World's Fair. It did sell for the list price here as well. Excellent condition. These are all original. These are all confirmed. These aren't modern day reproductions or anything else like that. There are very few reproductions of these sorts with back marks on them. It's pretty darn hard for somebody to reproduce these and match the same quality, design, construction, and the whole works. And here's another lettered button here. Now, this is very similar to Confederate rifleman buttons. So again, that's why people would collect and buy these, or they're collecting livery, stable buttons and things like that. This one sold for $64.50. All it is a letter on the button, nothing else, descriptor, anything else like that, but it is an early one, just like the last one we showed you. It is from the 1850s or so, again, with an RMDC backmark, raised mark, depressed channel. This is Scoville MFG Co. Waterbury. That's what's stated on the back in the depressed channel on the button. Now, 9 or 10 months ago, we only had a handful of buttons on eBay. Nowadays, we're up to being almost the #1 seller. We've got one more person to match and then beat to make us the largest seller of these sorts of items on eBay. If you know how to do it, you know your items, whatever they are. If you're a poster dealer or a comic book dealer, a trade card dealer, you can do the exact same thing. If you know comic books better than everybody else in your area, who do you think is going to be able to snag out all the good stuff when everybody else doesn't have a clue? If you know sports cards or tennis shoes or leather jackets, which is a big thing with me, all of that sort of thing, if you specialize and know more than everybody else, you'll be able to make far more than everybody else. Most people laugh when I show them these things or I'm talking about these sorts of things, but the money's out there and these are everywhere. I don't think there's an antique mall, antique store, flea market, fair, festival, any of those sorts of places where I don't run into buttons. It's something that I can run into at church sales, pretty much all over the place. You can run into these sorts of things. Even some businesses out there, I can run into these sorts of things. Costume shops that are going under. Those are great places to do and buy these sorts of things. Theaters that did live stage shows and plays. It was far easier to get vintage items, buttons per se, or old uniforms than it would be to create new ones. So hence, that's another good place to look for these things. Once again, I'm showing you buttons here, but it goes for anything I sell. We have specialized and learned as much as we can for every single thing that we sell. Now, most people who want to sell this sort of stuff know who I am around here because I pay more than everybody else. I pay finder's fees and stuff like that as well. So just somebody turning me on to a sale could get them a few bucks. So there's many ways to get people to bring stuff to you and to find these sorts of items, or really any items. Well, there we have it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.